Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm very happy to have Helen Sherman Wade as my guest today. Helen is the Executive Director of Speech, Language, and Educational Associates, which she founded in 1983. She has her master's degree in both speech pathology and special education, and combines her skills to assess and provide treatment to children and adults with language-based learning disabilities. Helen is multilingual and speaks Hebrew, Spanish, Arabic, German, and Yiddish, as well as English. She has extensive college teaching experience in special education and in speech pathology. She has consulted at the state and national level on bilingual issues as they impact non-discriminatory assessment practices, language acquisition, and communication disorders. Welcome, Helen, and thank you so much for joining me today to discuss the important services that you offer through your organization.
Well, thank you for having me as well.
So to begin, please share with us what prompted you to start your practice.
I think it was my education and my work background. I made a decision that I wanted to provide more personal services, not having to have procedures that were controlled by school districts and hospitals and so forth, so that when I saw a patient or a client, I could do what I believe to be the best strategy for helping them.
Based on that, what is SLEAs, which stands for Speech, Language, and Educational Associates? What is your mission, and how was that mission formulated?
Sure. Our mission is to improve and help develop understanding, speaking, reading, and writing throughout the age continuum. Whether you're a young child who's having difficulty learning to speak and then having difficulty learning to read and write, as well as an adult who suffers from a stroke and loses the ability to understand, speak, read, and write. Our staff, work on that continuum.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered in your practice? Perhaps, and those challenges might be different, perhaps with an adult versus, say, a child.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Our practice basically developed because of the challenges that I encountered early on. I would see young children, and I knew what needed to be done to improve their understanding and speaking, but I did not know how to develop their play behavior or their attention or their ability to regulate themselves so they could benefit from services. So I opened child development services and was educated in that area and hired specialists who worked in that area. Later on, when children were able to understand and speak, and we encountered educational issues, we hired educational therapists to work on reading and writing. And when we saw that many adults who had strokes and other adult things like Parkinson's, dementia, and suffered from memory and speech clarity issue, we sent our staff for training to be able to handle those types of issues. So our practice sort of evolved. It became interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. We have occupational therapy, which works with children and adults to help them to regulate, to help them to be able to listen better and function more in a learning environment. And at the end of the day, we also have a very strong behavioral program and which helps autistic children and children on the autism continuum to develop behaviors that make learning available to them. Those different programs within our company developed because of the needs of the clients. In the last couple of years, we've added mental health because we saw that families of individuals with communication and learning issues, the families needed support. And so we provide that as well.
That is really quite a wonderful combination and broad spectrum of programs that you offer.
Yes.
When an individual comes to you, can you tell me, describe just a little bit of what the intake process is like, and also I think it's important for people to know if you work with different types of payment methods. In other words, if a child is a client of a regional center in California, are you a vendor? Of course, now with self-determination, hopefully that will no longer be an issue. But let's say that at the moment, somebody who is a client of the regional center comes to you, or an older person, as you mentioned, who is suffering post-stroke or dementia, come to you who they're either getting disability or Medicare or whatever it is that they have. How do you work with the individual on that basis, or is it strictly private pay?
There is no such thing as private. We vendor with the regional centers. We're also a non-public agency, so we vendor with school districts. We also do telepractice, where we work across the state with different school districts, providing speech and language services and occupational therapy and educational therapy when they cannot access hiring their own staff because they are located in remote areas. There is almost no one we will not provide services for. We are affiliated. We are providers for, I can't remember the number of insurance companies that we are contracted with. And we negotiate rates that will work for the client. And we assess and we let the insurance companies know what is needed. We also work with school districts. When no insurance company will cover the service, and we feel that the best care would be through a school district, we advocate with the families to make sure that these individuals get services through the school district. Medicare, if it's referred to us, we are able to bill for it and so forth. But we accept almost every insurance that is currently available. We also receive payments for services through nonprofits who pay for services when there is no insurance available, and we contact them and see if they will work with us.
That is absolutely wonderful, Helen, and I think that's a very, very important point for people to know, because so many individuals do require these very important services that you offer. But again, very often the first question that comes up is, how are we going to afford it? So thank you for addressing that and for sharing that information.
Absolutely. And when someone calls our office to get to the second part, we take down their information, and our insurance team at the office will see how we can best help them. And we do not begin services until we know exactly what is available to that particular client or family and what it will actually cost them.
That's terrific. Thank you for letting us know about that and how that process works. At this point, I'd like to ask, is there anything else that you personally would like to add that we haven't covered, and what do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners to remember from our conversation?
That we love what we do. We train our staff to be the best they can be in every area that is known to us for needing assistance. We don't take on a case if we feel we're not the right party for that client, and we will make sure that we don't just leave them. We will make sure that we find alternative means for them. We are sympathetic to families, to individuals in need, and we always do the best we can. And we are open to criticism, we deal with it, and we do the best we can.
So how can our listeners reach to you, Helen, reach out to you if they have questions or if they want to know more?
Sure. Our office number is 818-788-1003. And the website for speech and language is www.speechassociates.com. And if they would like to reach me directly, it's hwade@speechassociates.com.
Okay, and I'm going to repeat the last two things. Speechassociates.com. That's SPEECHASSOCIATES.com. And your email is hwade, that's HWADE, @speechassociates.com. Is that correct?
That is, yep.
Okay. Okay, very good. Very good. Well, I want to thank you again, Helen, so much for your time and for the wonderful information that you've shared with us today.
It was a pleasure speaking with you.
I also want to thank our listeners for spending a part of their day with us. I'm Gilda Evans, reminding you to take care of yourself and that special person in your life.